City and my listeners around the world. I'm your host, Elizabeth Tripp, and you're listening to another edition of Nourish the Soul. We are live here at Gotham Podcast Studios in New York City, and we are going to be talking about the spirituality of families today. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, I'm a light worker, energy healer, and spiritual teacher who lives in New York City. I have a private practice called Nourish the Soul, where I spiritually guide individuals to break through limitations and really rediscover freedom and ease in their lives and align their mind, body, and soul. I love to hit the easy button with my clients and empower them to see themselves in a whole new way. It's so exciting for me. And this week, really marks the last week in March. So we're going to be wrapping up this month's theme about friends and family. Over the last few weeks, we've spent time exploring family more deeply and stretching our minds and hearts to see what our family is really, why they're here with us, why we have chosen to really spend our life with these people who often can trigger so many things for us to experience, emotions to arise, and feelings to come to surface, and why we have our family and what we're here to learn from them. So we've explored the alchemy of family and our health, and the triggers in our family and the effects they have on our well-being, and the impact overall our health and well-being has when we tend to get stuck in family drama or things that tend to really steam up our emotions, and what we can really do to really understand how to move past those things, break free from them, and to be able to find freedom within our family and really create well-being within our mind, bodies, and souls. So I have a special guest tonight who's going to really bring a beautiful, light onto families and the spirituality of families. And this guest is all the way from California. And this guest is a very kindred soul who's been practicing this spirituality of psychotherapy for nearly 40 years. And he's conducted Buddhist meditations and retreats and loving kindness relationship workshops all throughout California. He's really done quite a lot of practicing and work. He has a thriving practice in Santa Monica, where he also has these latest YouTube sensations, the secrets of the universe, and is just overjoyed to be walking in his soul's purpose while empowering others to really activate their divine calling. So I want to warmly welcome Steve Hasenberg to the podcast. Welcome, Steve.
Hello, kindred spirit, Elizabeth.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm very excited about the topic today
I
because
know.
I'm a family therapist, I'm a psychotherapist, and I call myself a spiritual psychotherapist because that's my deepest calling. And I've worked with couples and I've worked with families and individuals for almost 40 years. I'm almost there.
Wow, that's so exciting. And I thought that was so cool, the idea that you call yourself a spiritual psychotherapist, because you rarely hear that.
You know, the reason for that, well, I'll go back a few years. I really started my life right after college as a meditation teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I taught transcendental meditation throughout the United States.
Mm.
And then I went back. I was prodded to go back to grad school by a dear friend and doctor in Princeton. And I went back to grad school because I needed to make money and earn a living. And what I did was I incorporated Eastern philosophy, Eastern spirituality, and metaphysics into my psychology practice.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, Steve, where are you originally from? Where are you born and bred? Where did you grow up?
Well, where did I get born? Where did I incarnate? That's how I talk about it. I incarnated in New Brunswick. I grew up in Metuchen.
Uh-huh.
I went to school in New York at NYU.
Oh, so you're a New Yorker. You know what it's like to live in New
I
York City.
really am, but I lost my wonderful accent.
Ah, you became more laid back when you got to California. That's what
That's
happened.
what happened. I sat in the sun.
Yeah.
And so then I went to I actually finished my degree at Rutgers in New Brunswick.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a graduate degree at Antioch. And I've been practicing psychotherapy since 1980. So it's about 38 years.
Wow, that's incredible. And I know you have a pretty incredible story that sort of, awoke you to the spirituality of life. And could you tell our listeners a little bit about that and the age in which you became aware of sort of this other existence within our reality?
Absolutely. So when I was 12, I was at the YMCA camp in Newark, New Jersey, which my parents forced me to go to. I didn't want to go. But I was there for a couple of weeks. And during a baseball game, I was waiting to get up at bat. And as I stood there, and it was a beautiful twilight evening, all of a sudden, I shot out of my body into the outfield, and my spirit was in a tree.
Wow.
Looking at the game and watching everything going on.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, this is the strangest thing that's ever happened to me. And I thought, if I tell anybody, they'll think I'm absolutely mad.
I can imagine when you're 12,
And then
right?
I shot back into my body,
Mm-hmm.
kind of contemplating what happened to me. And then I shot into the left field, watching the game. And in that moment, I felt absolutely peaceful. I felt free. And I thought, my God, there's something about me that's not just a body. And then I came back into my body.
Wow.
So at 12 years old, I had no idea what that was about.
Right.
But I did have a sense that I was more than the human body.
Right.
I had a sense that I was spirit.
Mm.
And then fast forward, because this kind of really puts a wonderful crown on all of it. Fast forward to Majorca, Spain. I was 22 years old. And a year before, I had started to meditate with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the one who was very involved with the Beatles.
Right, right.
I was meditating in my room in a hotel. And as I was meditating, I shot out of my body through the ceiling of the hotel and into the sky.
Wow.
And I was going at very light, I guess, hyper warp speed through the absolutely precious and gorgeous stars and planets, through the galaxies, to the Milky Way, through the Milky Way. And then I got to a barrier. And that barrier was I suppose, the portal between life and death.
Wow.
And I remember being there for a few moments thinking, wow, this is an amazing experience. Maybe I should go forward.
Right.
But then I thought better of it, and I started flying backwards.
I've got things to do, right?
There were things to do on Earth,
Yeah.
and I remember seeing the Earth the way you see it from the Hubble.
Yeah.
This gorgeous globe, bright globe in the middle of a black sky. And if I had a body, I would have cried. But I didn't have a body, so I didn't shed any tears.
Wow.
And I kept going, and I saw Spain come up, and then the hotel, and I shot back into my body, and my body was vibrating.
Wow.
And I opened my eyes, and I never felt more fresh, more new in my entire life. And I knew for certain at 22 that I was an eternal being having a human experience, and that I was timeless and I was love. And I knew that then. But then it took me many, many years to get to a place where I could actually experience that on a daily basis.
Right, right. That is such an incredible, incredible story. I think that the way that you share that is just so beautiful, and it takes a person on the journey with you, which is so powerful. And I'd really love for you to, begin to help the listeners expand on then sort of your beginning to understand the world and yourself, and now in the topic in which we're talking about family with what you just, had experienced, or now all those years having after experienced that, what you now know about, yourself.
Elizabeth, it's a beautiful question, because we're so entangled in our daily life
Yeah.
that we don't spend time really pulling back a little and taking a deeply thoughtful look at what's actually going on.
I love that. I love that, Steve. Yes. Yeah, totally agree.
And after so many years of meditation, I've been meditating since I was 22, so it's a long time. After so many years of meditation, that pulling back happens because you cultivate silence inside of yourself. So the more silent you become, the more you see.
Yeah.
And part of that seeing is a shift of consciousness. And so as you get quieter, your mind gets clearer. And as the mind gets clearer, it opens up to higher states of awareness.
Right.
And in those higher states of awareness, you begin to see why things the way they are.
Right.
And so if we talk about families, when you and I spoke a few weeks ago, we talked about the word alchemical furnace.
Yeah.
And I see the families as alchemical furnaces. And what that means for the listeners is that an alchemical furnace is an old term from philosophy, back from the Greeks, and also in the probably 17th and 16th century.
Right.
Where people were changing base metal into gold. That was the idea. It was a chemical process. But what they were really doing was trying to concoct liquids that would be the elixir of immortality.
Ooh, right.
And so I see the alchemical furnace in the family because these people get together, and we can talk in more detail about why they do. They get together for deeper understanding. They get together for growth. They get together for personal evolution and evolution of the family.
I love
we
that.
get together to heal energies from the past.
Mm-hmm.
And in healing those energies, we grow internally, we grow as families, but we also grow as tribes, and we grow as humanity. So for me, looking at the family, it's this kind of small microcosm of the world. And what we can do in our families, the way we're willing to let go, the way we're willing to resolve, the way we're willing to love more, the way we're willing to have patience, that moves into the collective, because humanity is really connected like a network of computers.
Yeah.
Where whatever we learn goes into the collective mind, goes into the collective heart to evolve this organism that we call humanity.
Wow.
So that's a start, and we can go into detail about it, but that's the way I see it now.
I absolutely love that, to hear that perspective and the way that you paint that sense of returning to this, one source, this one self that we all exist from. And, our families are this practice of really better understanding ourselves and then, adding to this source that we come from in through love and peace and joy. And that's a beautiful way to look at family, Steve, because how many of your clients come in and don't look or see or understand family in that way at all?
So many, right?
Right.
So many people don't. And usually the phrase is, the stork dropped me at the wrong house.
So explain to the listeners how that statement, could that possibly be true from this soul perspective, that the stork dropped us off at the wrong house?
Yeah, that's why I said it, to stimulate this conversation. So we often feel that way because there's a lot of pain, misunderstanding, and suffering that takes place in families.
Yeah.
But families come together if we talk about the deepest reason, everybody in the collective human organism, every human being is coming to have an earth experience for self-realization. This would be the goal of humanity, to realize its potential, to realize the eternal quality of its love, to realize the joy that's possible to experience on earth. But there are conflicts. Now, families come together karmically, and I used to see karma as punishment, but now I just see it as opportunity.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people think about it that way. They think of it as like a punishment to themselves, right?
Right. But karma is an opportunity. What karma really is an opportunity to reenact circumstances and situations that haven't been completed in the past.
Excellent definition.
And, if you look in family therapy, the word reenactment means that people, after they leave their families, often reenact situations that was originally created in the family unit.
Right, with friends or lovers or coworkers.
Right, and we reenact these things again, not because it's punishment, it's not punitive.
Right.
We're reenacting it to grow. We're reenacting it to reflect and understand ourselves better so we can move toward greater self-realization, greater generosity, greater compassion for ourselves and others.
Mm.
So these family situations, the furnace is a hot place.
Right.
So the heat of family dynamics, being with people, I use this term in my practice, chemistry is memory.
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
You like that?
Yeah, that's
The
a good
people,
one.
okay, the people in our family, we have memories about,
Right.
we have chemistry with.
Mm-hmm.
Chemistry doesn't mean that it's always good chemistry. It could be difficult chemistry. But whatever the chemistry is, each individual in the family has come there because they have work to do with the others. Good work, difficult work, painful work, resolving work, but work nonetheless, spiritual work.
That's so
And so,
beautiful. And I
go
want to
ahead,
just
sorry.
pause you right there to just insert that you're also insinuating too that we live many lives. That's why we have this karmic tie and this chemistry, correct, with our families.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Good, good, good. Love that. So that, this is.
Yeah, because, well, in terms of what I was saying before, the many lives are new opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes new opportunities with new people, but again, strangers are only friends that we've forgotten.
Yeah.
So we keep recycling things,
Mm-hmm.
again, in order to know ourselves more deeply, in order to express ourselves more imaginatively, more creatively, in order to gain wisdom, in order to express love.
Beautiful.
So lifetime after lifetime after lifetime is this movement through time and space where we get to engage in our alchemical furnace over and over again, where we experience ordeals, where we experience adversities. And those adversities, for me, having pulled back from a lot of this, are soul callings.
Beautiful.
So a family is a soul calling.
Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful way to put it. So we come into our family groups because we've been called by our soul, and they also have been called into the groups by their souls. So there's a real beautiful tie that we actually have with our family members, right?
It's precious. You know, I remember my sister and I never got along very well.
Yeah.
We were the opposites in the family. She was a very outspoken New Yorker,
Ah.
and I was a more introspective meditator.
Mm-hmm.
And she was schizophrenic when she was young. And she got over it about 18, but it left a lot of scarring.
Yeah.
And I always wondered, why did I pick her? Why was she in the family?
Right.
Because she caused me so much heartache.
Right.
And so much distress. And one night, she died of cancer, of breast cancer, many years ago. And one evening, I went to bed. I had a lucid dream. And I was walking in the forest. And I realized that I was holding someone's hand. And the person, I didn't see the face, but the person's hand I was holding was the best friend I had ever had. And that moment in the forest was the most precious moment that I could imagine. And all of a sudden I turned to her, and it was my sister. And I thought, my God, on a soul level, we were best friends.
Right.
In fact, we are best friends because both of us are on a soul level and we're on a human level.
Right.
And she started talking to me about her cancer. And
Mm.
she started talking to me about why we came together
Right.
and what our life was about. It was a life-altering experience.
Wow, that sounds so powerful and really beautiful for people to hear who are tuning in, who, have sort of that, edge with a sibling or with a parent, or that maybe grudge or uncomfortableness with someone in their family. And what you're really illustrating, Steve, is that there's a real deeper reason behind these connections. And beneath the humanness, there's a real soul level.
It's exactly right, Elizabeth.
Wow.
And this is something that you become aware of after you've meditated for so long, like I have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you begin to realize that you're not just a human being, you're also an eternal soul. And that was the first experience I had that I talked to you about.
Right.
That experience that where I shot out of my body in Spain.
Right. Right.
And I've come to experience now, almost on a daily basis, the fact that I'm eternal, I'm a soul, and simultaneously I'm a human. And so we're multidimensional beings. And we have soul experiences and we have human experiences. And there's a almost constant communication between our humanity, the choices that we make, the experiences that we have, and with our eternal soul. And that's the way we make choices about circumstances
Mm-hmm.
that we're going to be experiencing on the earth.
Wow, that's incredible and such a beautiful way to describe it. And really, Steve, when you work with people, and let's say, someone's coming in, they're describing something about family, and they really, they're open, but they don't have any understanding of this. How do you begin to start to open somebody up to begin to see this really beautiful tapestry of existence within our reality? How do you
It's a
begin that?
great, I love your word tapestry. It's a beautiful word.
It is, isn't it? I love that word too.
So I was on another show last week in LA, and actually somebody, Lisa Garth, asked me to talk about my practice. And the kind of psychology practice that I'm involved with now is one in which I'm teaching almost everybody, we all have a choice in therapy.
Yeah.
It's voluntary, so I can't force people to meditate.
Right,
But,
right.
but I would if I could, but I don't. And so everybody who comes to see me is coming there because they've been recommended. They've been recommended, and in the recommendation, they're going to be talking about the stuff that I do, and it's different. So everybody learns to meditate,
Mm.
and we meditate together in the office, and I ask them to meditate at home. Because for me, the only solution to problems at a fundamental level is making connection with what is eternal in us,
Right,
what is happy in us,
right.
what is joyful in us,
Mm-hmm.
what lives transcendent to the mind. We're talking more about the depth of the heart,
Right,
and the heart being a portal to the soul.
right.
So I teach people heart meditations.
Oh, I love
I teach
that.
people compassion meditations.
Mm-hmm.
I teach people transcendental meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes the pivot point for the way we begin to think about life. We begin to think about life as a soul having an earth experience and why these experiences are occurring,
Right.
and the fact that they are occurring out of goodness. They're not punitive.
Right. Right.
So we begin to reframe our reality
Mm.
in a way that we can see the divine orchestration of why we've come here and why these circumstances or events are placed before us.
Right. Why we had the mom and dad we had, and why we had the upbringing
Right.
that we experienced. Right.
Yep.
And seeing that our own free will choice to be able to decide to come into these circumstances was also present there. I think that's always a big thing, that when people realize, like, I chose that, and it's like, yes, right. So that, yeah, do you get that too sometimes?
Almost always.
Right. Right.
Because again, material life is like Velcro. It's it's so entangling and engaging that without practices, whether it's mindful practices, meditation, yoga, breathing, we don't have methods of stepping back from life enough to actually see what it's all about.
Right.
And that's really our topic today. How important it is for everybody to step back with whatever method you use. These are all wonderful methods.
Right. Right.
To step back and begin to know yourself. Take a big breath. Take a pause. Remove yourself for a bit.
Right.
And then you have an opportunity to go in a little bit new, like going on a vacation.
Right. Right. And isn't it beautiful to see that it really all comes back to understanding our own role in our family, what we perceived, what we experienced, because our current self, if we don't do this work, actually looks through the lens of the perception of our younger self, and what everything that we had experienced when we were, ages first of our first memories. Maybe sometimes it's for the youngest of 4 through 8, right?
Beautifully said. There's so many opportunities in a nuclear family. If you think about it, I talk about life themes with my clients.
Mm.
What happens is that the structure or the interstructure of families pull out the life themes that we're going to be living through and understanding for most of our life.
Mm-hmm.
And those life themes are challenging. There's nothing about them that's easy.
Right.
I mean, one of my life themes was giving too much.
Right. Right.
And that got extracted over and over again in my family life because my parents were always fighting. My father was always having problems with my sister.
Right.
She was having problems with him.
Right.
I put my little Charlie Brown sign up, therapy 10 cents, when I was probably 7 years old.
Right.
And I was always trying to bring peace to the family. But in the process, as good as I was, I couldn't do it. I wasn't able to heal this family. And it promoted this endless giving on my part.
Right.
Where my needs weren't taken care of, but I was always tending to other people's needs. That became my life theme.
Yeah, not having that boundary. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, that's, and we see that with so many people out there and so many people who struggle because we've had these conversations like I just give so much to my family and I do so much for them, and that's where those anger and resentment come in. But when we step back and actually hear what we're conversating about today, we can see that there's actually a soul theme or a life theme that is outplaying for you to see yourself clearer so that you can reconnect with your higher, more divine self. That's just beautiful.
Absolutely.
It's incredible,
A-
Steve.
And this life theme is usually what brings people to therapy
Yeah.
or brings people to yoga class
Or meditation, right?
or meditation. We're seeking some
Resolution.
solution.
Yeah.
We're seeking resolve of the pain and suffering that we have felt.
Right.
And the life theme for me wove me into so many different kinds of relationships where, again, I'm going to use the word reenactment,
Right.
where I reenacted my childhood drama,
Mm-hmm.
giving, 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 angry, 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 because finally nobody cared about me.
Right.
My needs weren't taken as important. And then usually there'd be blow-ups.
Right. Right.
So that theme repeated, it recycled
Right.
over and over and over. And now looking back on it in retrospect, it's like, what an opportunity.
Right.
What a precious gift from the divine.
Yep.
But when I was going through it,
Oh, what a
I
painful
wasn't, I
experience.
didn't have that much equanimity about it.
Right. No, you in and really you in those experiences, you just have to almost take those leaps of faith. Like, I need to actually talk with this person, or I have to go to this appointment, or I need to try this therapy, or I want to try this yoga,
Exactly.
right? That
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Steve, I just want to quickly, before we wrap up tonight, actually just hear a little bit about your secrets of the universe too, so the listeners can tune into this. This is a YouTube series that you do, correct?
Yes, Secrets of the Universe. How much time do we have?
We have about 3 more minutes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't want to take too much airtime. Secrets of the Universe came out of a 3-year illness that I went through
Mm,
where I lost my practice. I lost the ability to talk. I couldn't intuit anymore.
right.
And it forced me to be self-compassionate. I
Mm,
came to the other side of what we've been talking about,
a
which
lot.
is taking care of everybody and not myself.
Right.
So out of that came many, it lasted for 3 years. It was very difficult. Out of that came kind of a revelation one day while I was in the car about doing this series called Secrets of the Words came to me. I just flew into my brain.
Mm,
Secrets of the Universe. And I thought, what is that about?
right.
And it
Ooh.
turned into a YouTube series.
Mm-hmm.
There's 17 episodes. And a lot of it talks about my evolution in consciousness,
Right.
but it also talks about Native American tradition,
Oh, I love that.
Buddhist tradition, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Buddhist tradition, Taoism, Sufism. We have poems from Rumi. It talks about how this center, there's a world center, there's an eternal center where all philosophy, all psychology, all human life springs from.
Mm.
And they're wonderful topics about the light body, about the earth school, about the great secrets of life, about tuning into ourselves, moving into the heart, things like that.
Oh, beautiful. That sounds like an amazing, amazing series. And people just type in Secrets of the Universe, correct, on YouTube?
Yeah, they actually I have a channel, so it's Steve Hasenberg
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube. They'll get to my channel.
Okay, great. And Steve, how can people learn more about you and your work? What's your website and contact information?
Yeah, my website is Steve Hasenberg, Hasenberg
Mm-hmm.
.com. And actually, the videos are on there, and some podcasts are on there, and a whole explanation of what I do and how I do it, and also a way of getting in contact with me in Santa Monica.
Oh, beautiful. And now if people don't live in California, can they still contact you? Like, let's say somebody in New York heard you and they want to potentially explore working with you. Is that something you do as well?
I have a slew of New York clients.
You do? Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
And we do it on Skype or FaceTime or
Uh-huh.
on the phone.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so cool. Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming onto the show and speaking such incredible words of wisdoms. I love the way you paint such a beautiful picture of the spirituality of family, eloquent, deep, yet so relatable for all the listeners out there. So thank you so, so much.
It is so really my pleasure, Elizabeth. And thank you for having a podcast that's willing to go so deep and to be so real for people in the world.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. The podcast will drop on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, tuned in all the major platforms this Friday, and so it will be out for everybody who missed the live show to tune in. Steve, thank you so much. We're gonna sign out, everyone. Love and light. This is Elizabeth Tripp. Have a great night.